Act 5, Scene 1. It is the last act. I'm so excited. And I love this scene. This is probably one of my favorite scenes. I know that I say that about all the scenes, but I've been looking forward to this scene the entire year. So I'm kind of stoked for it. So let's go ahead and begin. Yay! If you remember last time, at the end of Act 4, Macduff learned that his family had been brutally slaughtered, and that's very upsetting. And obviously, he was upset and was crying. And now he has a very valid reason to go and seek revenge with Macbeth. And so we get to see, how has Lady Macbeth been doing? We haven't heard from her in a while. So let's go ahead and dive on in and see what she's up to. What has she been up to? Here we go.
Act 5, Scene 1. A room in the castle of Dunsinane. It is night, and the scene is lit by candles, as a doctor and a servant of Lady Macbeth are waiting for something.
I have 2 nights watched with you, but can perceive no truth in your report. When was it she last walked?
Since His Majesty went into the field, I've seen her rise from her bed, throw her nightgown upon her, unlock her closet, take forth paper, fold it, write upon't, read it, afterwards seal it, and again return to bed. Yet all this while in a most fast sleep.
A great perturbation in nature to receive at once the benefit of sleep and do the effects of watching. In this slumbery agitation, besides her walking and other actual performances, what at any time have you heard her say?
So how's Lady Macbeth doing with all of this? What's she doing now? She is doing some weird sleepwalking, absolutely. And so this gentlewoman, I would hate to have her job, by the way. So she's like this lady, like a lady in waiting, and so she's kind of like a servant almost. So she watches over Lady Macbeth. What a job. And so she watches Lady Macbeth go and like sleepwalk, and she's doing some weird things. You know, she gets up, she throws on her nightgown, she unlocks her closet, gets some paper, folds it, writes it, reads it, seals it, and then goes back to bed. And the doctor's just like, whoa, this is totally going against nature. He's like, you're having the benefits of sleep while being awake. He's like, that doesn't make sense. So we have another sleep disorder going on within the play. Remember that Macbeth can't sleep, whereas Lady Macbeth is sleeping, but it's not a restful type of sleep here. And so the doctor then says, what have you heard her say? Let's see if she's also talking in her sleep.
That, sir, which I will not report after her.
You may to me, and 'tis most meet you should.
Neither to you nor anyone, having no witness to confirm my speech.
So the gentlewoman was like, oh, no. Mm-mm. I am not saying a thing, because people tend to die when they're around the Macbeths. She's like, so I don't have anyone to back up my story. Whatever she says, I'll take it to the grave. Mm-mm. Because if I say it, then my grave is going to come after me a lot faster. So no. I agree. She's a smart lady. Very, very smart lady.
Enter Lady Macbeth with a candle. Lady Macbeth appears to be scrubbing at her hands with an imaginary cloth.
Lawyer, here she comes. This is her very guise, and upon my life, fast asleep. Observe her. Stand close.
How came she by that light?
Why, it stood by her. She has light by her continually. 'Tis her command.
Oh, miss, I want the night to be so black that no one can see my evil deeds. Now needs ye old nightlight, because she is scared of the dark, for fear of what can happen when you're in the dark. Now, as a person who also is not a big fan of the dark, because I also suffered from night terrors as a child, I completely understand. But it's just interesting that she's so frightened of the dark that she can't rest unless there's a candle beside her both day and night. Not even in the daytime where she's all just like, oh, it's fine, it's sunny out. Nope, she has to have that candle with her at all times. So it's kind of become like a security blanket for her. And I mean, so wow, quite the change in Lady Macbeth. Huh.
You see her eyes are open.
Aye, but their scents are shut.
What is it she does now? Look how she rubs her hands.
It is an accustomed action with her to seem thus washing her hands. I have known her continue in this a quarter of an hour.
What does Lady Macbeth think is on her hands? Whose blood? Duncan's. Remember all the way back when they went, when Macbeth killed him. And then Lady Macbeth just all like, oh, a little bit of water will just go and like clean away our sins. It's perfectly fine. Well, it may have washed it from her hands, but not her mind. And so now she will spend up to 15 minutes at a time washing her hands, like just scrubbing, trying to get the blood off. Oh no.
Yet here's a spot.
Hark, she speaks. I will set down what comes from her to satisfy my remembrance the more strongly.
Out, damned spot! Out, I say! 1, 2. Why, then 'tis time to do it. Hell is murky. Fie, my lord, fie. A soldier and afeard. What need we fear? Who knows it? Where none can call our power to account. Yet who would have thought the old man to have so much blood in him?
Well, that doesn't sound suspicious at all. Not at all. Right. Yeah, she doesn't know what she's saying. So she's pretty much like spilling the beans there of being like saying that who would have known the old man would have had so much blood in him? She is just I wonder who was old who died, who was around, Lady Macbeth. I don't know. So interestingly enough, if you go and recite this, it's about 20 seconds, which is how long you're supposed to wash your hands. So if you notice over by my sink there, see the white piece of paper that's posted right above the sink? It's exactly what we just read there. So I'm really sad that no one, at least not that I know of, has created the Lady Macbeth soap company. Like I generally will see the memes about it, or like students will go and they'll like create a label. But it always just kind of makes me giggle every single time, and I'm just like, yeah, that's awesome. So yeah, it's she's trying to get that blood out. Or like shout or something like that would also be a really good, like plug for that, especially like around Halloween. I just think it'd be fantastic.
Did you mark that?
The Thane of Fife had a wife. Where is she now? What, will these hands ne'er be clean? Oh, no more of that, my lord. No more of that. You mar all with this starting.
Who's the Thane of Fife who had a wife? Think back to the previous act. Not Banquo. Macduff, yes. Yeah, so the Thane of Fife is Macduff. And so she didn't have anything to do with the Macduff family murder. She still found out about it, obviously, and she's feeling guilty because she didn't stop Macbeth in time from going like on this huge killing spree. And so she feels super responsible for this. And uh, it's just so sad. Like I feel bad for her. Like I didn't feel sorry for her at the beginning of the play, but I do now because of this guilt that's just eating her alive. At least she has guilt. Whereas Macbeth doesn't have any guilt. So I think that's why I feel sorry for her. Like, yes, even though she has made some errors and some very grave errors, no pun intended, that she does feel remorse for her actions.
Go to, you have known what you should not.
She has spoke what she should not. I am sure of that. Heaven knows what she has known.
Is the smell of the blood still? All the perfumes of Arabia will not sweeten this little hand. Oh, oh, oh.
What a sigh is there. The heart is sorely charged.
I would not have such a heart in my bosom for the dignity of the whole body.
Truthfully, I wouldn't trade places with her either. So Lady Macbeth then goes and like smells her hand. She's like, "Oh my god, I can still smell the blood." Well, let's face it, blood has a very distinctive odor. Like whenever there's the blood drive, it's at like in the library there every year, and the teachers' lounge is right across the hall. I would not go into the teachers' lounge that day just because like I could smell it about like I could smell the blood probably about halfway down the hall, like around the cafeteria esque area, and I was like, nope, too much iron in the air for me. And so I always just kind of think of Lady Macbeth at that point because it's like, oh yeah, I feel your pain there, lady. And then the doctor's just like, wow, that was quite the sigh. Like that just moved her entire body. And then the gentlewoman's just like, I would not trade my little lowly position as like her maid for to be in Lady Macbeth's shoes. She's like, I don't care how much money you'd give me. I don't care how much power being queen. Don't care. Look at all the burden and the sorrow that she feels. So, not worth it. Not worth it at all. She's like, I'd rather be poor and happy than be rich and miserable like that. I agree.
Well.
Pray God it be, sir.
This disease is beyond my practice, yet I have known those which have worked in their sleep, who have died wholly in their beds.
Wash your hands. Put on your nightgown. Look not so pale. I tell you again, Banquo's buried. He cannot come out on's grave.
Well, we don't need the police. We just need Lady Macbeth talking in her sleep. My God. she's naming names. She is spilling the beans here, and she's just constantly reliving the past. And remember, she didn't have anything to do with Banquo's murder either, but she knows. Even though he didn't tell her, she knows that it was him. And it's slowly driving her insane. And so it's as if she's like talking to Macbeth right here, like after that coronation banquet. And she's like, don't worry, don't worry, Macbeth. Banquo is dead. He's buried. He's not going to come out and tell the truth because, he's dead. Yeah, we don't need Banquo, Lady Macbeth. We have you.
Even so.
To bed. To bed. There's knocking at the gate. Come, give me your hand. What's done cannot be undone. To bed. To bed! To bed!
Lady Macbeth leaves.
She's kind of having a rough time there, isn't she? So she keeps like merging all of the murders, and she is not handling things very well. So that last little bit is very much like the moment when they heard, who was it, Macduff and Lennox knocking on the door in what was it, Act 2. And she's like, well, we can't undo it. Let's just go to bed and try to forget about this. Sleep will help us. No, Lady Macbeth's sleep. Oh no. Man, can you imagine if you're the gentlewoman and the doctor, like, and you hear that, you're just like, Yeah, like you would just really want to go. It's not like they have like recording features and not like in today's world, everybody would be busting out their phone. You'd be on social media within like 30 seconds. And let's face it, they would live stream it. And so now if these two say anything, I mean, they'd probably end up dead. So I wouldn't want to be in their position either. Oh my. So let's see what they decide to do.
Will she go now to bed?
Directly.
Foul whisperings are abroad. Unnatural deeds do breed unnatural troubles. Infected minds to their deaf pillows will discharge their secrets. More needs she the divine than the physician. God forgive us all. Look after her. Remove from her the means of all annoyance, and keep still eyes upon her. So good night. My mind she has mated, and amazed my sight. I think, but dare no speak.
Good night, good doctor.
And so that is the end of scene 1. And you see why it's one of my favorite scenes in the entire play. It's pretty awesome. So the doctor's just like, I can't do anything for her. Like, this is in her mind. She needs a priest, not a doctor. Like, because that's like coming from her soul. He's like, I can't give her any kind of medicine in order to fix this. He's like, this is definitely emotional. This is psychological. I can't do anything. He's like, so call a priest. But he's like, the one thing I will tell you, gentlewoman, remove anything that is sharp or that could hurt her, because he fears what she could do by herself, that she would maybe take her own life because of this guilt that is just eating away at her. And so the gentlewoman's just like, well, good night. She didn't agree. I'm just kind of like I'm a little concerned for her. If I mean, I know that the Macbeths are not popular, but still, like, that's a human being and who's definitely struggling. Yes. Yeah. Oh gosh. You think that blood that she would maybe like, as you said, to flip the switch and like she'd just be like, blood will clean off the blood. Oh gosh. Ooh, ooh, ooh. That's scary. Yeah, she is definitely struggling. Oh gosh. Oh gosh. Oh, I hope that's wrong. Even if you have to realize that Shakespeare's using like the sleepwalking as a literary element to go and just show that guilt. You also have to remember the time period. So this is the early 1600s. And so the whole thought of like sleeping disorders or mental illness, even though it existed, they didn't have names for it. They didn't understand what that was. Yeah, a lot of times they did say it was hysteria. So I mean, let's look at in our world today of what we would probably go and armchair psychologists here, armchair doctors. Obviously, we are not medical professionals, but like what kind of disorders could she have? I mean, we have the excessive hand washing. That would be OCD. It didn't have a name back then. So that's pretty cool that Shakespeare was able to go and recognize that for back then. So that's pretty cool. And it's also hundreds of years before Freud like was becoming like a big name in psychology. So that's pretty interesting too. So he didn't have these medical terms to go and be like, oh yes, the doctor in the play is going to be like, well, she has this and she has this. And instead he just goes and discusses like what her ailments were. And he has this like really amazing understanding of how the human mind works. I mean, that's just really impressive. And so I think that's what goes and makes Lady Macbeth such a deep and layered character, is that he really uses a lot of these real ailments to show how intense it can go and influence people. I mean, like remember with Hamlet and when Ophelia went insane, I kind of feel like it was too fast of a switch. It didn't really feel right. Whereas this one definitely feels more organic. And I think that that's really cool. And so that's really why, because Shakespeare had this really cool understanding of it, I think that's why so many actresses wanted to play her. But I also really think because this is like Shakespeare's darkest play, I personally feel that a lot of these issues may be because Shakespeare may have suffered from them himself. Because remember, his son had died during this time. So that's my little 2 cents. I don't know if it's historically accurate or not. I wasn't there, but I just kind of think that. Question. Scene 2, we're going to leave Lady Macbeth. I really want to give her a hug. Like, I feel really bad for her because she is suffering and no one deserves to feel that suffering. That's just terrible. Especially because she does feel bad. That mental anguish, I really feel bad for her. So she needs a hug, and I wish she had someone to talk to. But scene 2, we are going to be on the other side, the people who are trying to take down Macbeth. And this is a really cool scene because Shakespeare's using time in the theater. So back in his time period, plays were told in a linear fashion. So it was first this happened, then this happened, then this happened. And it was like done in real time. And Shakespeare's just like, nah, I'm not going to do that. Why do we have to keep doing things like that? And so he does time jumps. And so he's like the first person to ever do that. And now it's like super commonplace and no one ever thinks of it. But at this point, it was unheard of. And so people had been like, wait, what? This isn't like immediately after this? Nope. I just love that. It's so great. So we get a new character. His name's Monteith. And Angus is back, and we get Caithness as well. I always hear like Caithness, and I think of Katniss from the Hunger Games, and then Lennox is back too. So here we go. We're going to learn about what the allies are up to here.
Act 5, Scene 2. The country around Dunsinane Castle. An army is camped here. Enter Monteith, Caithness, Angus, Lennox, and assorted soldiers.
The English power is near, led on by Malcolm, his uncle Seward, and the good Macduff. Revenges burn in them for their dear causes, would, to the bleeding and the grim, alarm, excite the mortified man.
Near Burnham Wood shall we meet them, that way are they coming.
Wait, where have we heard that name before? Burnham Wood. Oh, yes. From the second apparition, remember? Macbeth shall never vanquished be till Burnham Wood to high Dunsinane Hill shall come against him. So they're at Dunsinane, and they're like, oh, Malcolm, Macduff, and Seward are near Burnham Wood, and we're going to meet up. So now they're in Burnham Wood? I wonder what could happen.
Who knows if Donalbain be with his brother?
For certain, sir, he is not. I have a file of all the gentry. There is Seward's son, and many unrough youths that even now protest their first of manhood.
What does the tyrant?
Great Dunsinane he strongly fortifies. Some say he's mad. Others that lesser hate him do call it valiant fury. But for certain, he cannot buckle his distempered cores within the belt of rule.
So Caithness is like, hey, did Donalbain come back from Ireland? And they're like, no, he's just chilling on over there. So Donalbain will not come back. I'm just going to let you know that now. But he's like, we have the list, and so many people believe in this cause that even like super young boys have signed up to join the military, including Seward's son. So they're so young that they haven't even started to grow their beards yet. The babies are out there. I don't like that. I don't like it that babies are there. I understand why, they're fighting for the cause, but that just really upsets me that the babies are out there. And then Monteith is like, well, what's the tyrant, aka Macbeth, doing? And Caithness is saying that he's fortifying his castle to withstand the siege. And he's like, he thinks he's invincible. Like, this guy is just, I don't even know. But remember what the witches said. They said that no one of woman born can harm him. So even if Birnam Wood does come to Dunsinane, I mean, let's face it, Shakespeare's writing this in the 1600s. Everyone's of woman born, unless, of course, like a donkey comes out of somewhere and is just like, kicks him in the head. Maybe that will happen. I don't know. Let's see.
Now does he feel his secret murders sticking on his hands? Now minutely revolts upbraid his faith breach. Those he commands move only in command, nothing in love. Now does he feel his title hang loose about him, like a giant's robe upon a dwarfish thief.
These are like amazing lines. Just like as an English teacher, I'm like, oh my gosh, this is just like all the feels right there. So interestingly enough, no one in Scotland is on Macbeth's side anymore. And so in order to go and be able to fight and have people, he had to hire the same guys that he was up against at the beginning of the play. I bet you at this point he's like, man, why did I unsee MacDonald? He was a good fighter. Wow. So he has to go and hire people to help him keep control of his kingdom. And then Angus says that, let's see here, that his title hangs loose about him like a giant's robe on a dwarfish thief. That's really awesome. It means that Macbeth isn't worthy of being king and that he definitely stole the crown from Duncan when he killed him. So everybody knows at this point that, yeah, Duncan wasn't killed by Malcolm and Donalbain. It was Macbeth because of, look at all the things, the chaos that ensued with this.
Who then shall blame his pestered senses to recoil and start when all that is within him does condemn itself for being there?
Well, march we on, to give obedience where 'tis truly owed. Meet we the medicine of the sickly wheel, and with him pour we in our country's purge, each drop of us.
Or so much as it needs to dew the sovereign flower and drown the weeds. Make we our march towards Burnham.
Very fast scenes. And so they're saying that they're going to march, meet we the medicine of the sickly wheel. So Macbeth is the sickly wheel, which means, and it's not like W-H-E-E-L, it's W-E-A-L. That means an open sore on Scotland. So you guys remember from like the Canterbury Tales, or the cook who had the open sore upon his knee and it was like oozing and pus and ooh, that's Macbeth. Macbeth is the oozing wound upon Scotland, and that the rebels are the medicine to drown him out. I mean, that is a great metaphor right there. That just makes the English teacher and me just like get all giddy and excited. And so then Lennox is not to be like left out with the cool metaphors. And he's like, Macbeth is a weed that needs to be drowned in blood so a new king can rise. Who knew that these soldiers were so poetic? Like, just warms my heart. So scene 3, let's see how Macbeth is doing in all this.
The army marches off. Act 5, Scene 3. In the castle at Dunsinane. Enter Macbeth, the doctor treating Lady Macbeth, and many attendants.
Bring me no more reports, let them fly all! Till Burnham Wood, removed to Dunsinane, I cannot taint with fear. What's the boy Malcolm? Was he not born of woman? The spirits that know all mortal consequences have pronounced me thus. Fear not, Macbeth, no man that's born of woman shall e'er have power upon thee. Then fly, false thanes, and mingle with the English epicures. The mind I swear by, and the heart I bear, shall never sag with doubt, nor shake with fear.
A servant enters with a message.
The devil damn thee, black, thou cream-faced loon. Where godst thou that goose look?
There is
Now, that's just uncalled for, Macbeth. There's no need to be rude. I mean, he's definitely turning into a jerk, and he describes and like then mocks that poor servant. He's just like, "Oh, thou cream-faced loon. Why do you have that goose-looking look on your face?" Wait, there's no need for name calling, sir. So Macbeth has received these reports that the Thanes have joined with the English army, but he doesn't care. And I mean, he goes and he's slipping from arrogance to cruelty to fear, all within just like a half a second, which is pretty amazing. And so that's why so many actors want to go and play Macbeth, is because of these range of emotions, especially in like scenes like this. And I mean, at this point, he is completely sure that he cannot be killed. And he feels like really protected by the witch's prophecies. And he's like, I am so positive of my victories that I don't care how many Thanes are coming and join the English army. I will beat them. And he's like, what, servant? What news do you have that doesn't impact me at all?
10,000
Geese, villain?
soldiers, sir.
Go prick thy face and overread thy fear, thou lily-livered boy. What soldiers, Patch? Death of thy soul, those linen cheeks of thine are counsellors to fear. What soldiers, Wayface?
The English force, so please you.
Take thy face hence.
The servant leaves.
To leave as the servant. I mean, he's just getting picked on. He's like, go prick thy face and overread thy fear, thou lily-livered boy. And then he's like, what soldiers, whey face? So whey, I don't know if you guys, it's kind of an older term now of like curds and whey. So whey is actually the white residue that's left when like milk curdles. So think about like the kind of like white milky stuff in the cottage cheese. So this kid is scared and he's making fun of him. Not cool.
Satan! I was sick at heart when I beheld Satan, I say. This push will cheer me ever or deceit me now. I have lived long enough. My way of life is fallen into the sear, the yellow leaf, and that which should accompany old age is honour, love, obedience, troops of friends. I must not look to have, but in their stead, curses, not loud, but deep, mouth honour, breath, which the poor heart would fain deny and dare not. Satan!
I just love to be that actor at this point. So even though he's not fearing anything, it still like sickens him to know that they're marching towards him, trying to like get rid of him. And so he's like, wow, I feel like really old and like I'm ready for death, but I can't die. And he's like, he realizes that his actions have like lost that honor that he once had. Remember Act 1 Macbeth? I miss Act 1 Macbeth. He was such a good man. And he's like, I had the love and the obedience of the Thanes and my wife and who loved me very much, and now I have nothing. And he's like, I'm all alone in the world except for Seton. And not now Seton's even like letting him down. Yes.
Seton enters.
Poor Seton.
What's your gracious pleasure?
What news more?
All is confirmed, my lord, which was reported.
I'll fight, till from my bones my flesh be hacked. Give me my armour.
'Tis not needed yet.
I'll put it on. Send out more horses. Scare the country round. Hang those that talk of fear. Give me mine armour.
Seaton leaves to fetch his armour.
How does your patient, doctor? Not so sick, my lord, as she is troubled with thick-coming fancies that keep her from her rest. Cure her of that. Canst thou not minister to a mind disease? Pluck from the memory a rooted sorrow, raise out the written troubles of the brain, and with some sweet oblivious antidote cleanse the stuffed bosom of that perilous stuff which weighs upon the heart? Therein the patient must minister to himself. Throw physic to the dogs, I'll none of it.
Well then, so Macbeth now just has one mantra of "I will go on fighting," and he seems to have lost everything but his instinct to fight, even when he's backed into this corner. I mean, he's lost all of his diplomatic skills. He has no ability to plan, and this is why he's a poor king. And then he goes and asks like how his wife is doing, and he knows that she is not able to cope with these murders, and he knows that it has impacted her. And he doesn't see that they're both actually victims. I mean, yes, they're victims of their own circumstance, but still, he just wants like a quick fix. He wants like a Band-Aid. And so he asks the doctor to erase the bad memories with medicine. He's like, just fix her. It's fine. I'll deal with her later. I can't handle this right now. I'm busy. Get me my armor. And he doesn't accept the fact that she has to go and be able to cure herself with the proper help. And he just knows that there's no cure for either of them at this point, and he's just like, yeah, I'll just put on my armor.
Seaton returns with the armour and an armourer to fit Macbeth into it.
Come, put mine armour on. Give me my stuff. Seaton, send out. Doctor, the thanes fly from me. Come, sir, dispatch. If thou couldst, doctor, cast the water of my land, find her disease, and purge it to a sound and pristine health, I would applaud thee to the very echo that should applaud again. Pulled off, I say. What rhubarb, senna, or what purgative drug would scour these English hens? Hear'st thou of them? Aye, my good lord, your royal preparation makes us hear something. Bring it after me. I will not be afraid of death and bane, till Burnham Forest come to Dunsinane.
Macbeth leaves, followed by Seaton and the armourer. The doctor is alone.
Were I from Dunsinane away and clear, profit again should hardly draw me here.
So Macbeth is definitely sliding in and out of sanity at this point, and he's thinking that like it's all a game, and he's like, I can't lose. And he's like walking around in his armor, and he doesn't even need to be in his armor at this point. And they're like, no, you don't need it. He's like, put it on. No. And he's like, well, I can't lose until the woods go and uproot themselves and just come on over to my castle. And so then he walks on out, and the doctor's just like, I need to leave. Like, this is not safe for me to be here. And he's like, Macbeth is completely insane and scary. And he's like, everybody's just going to go down with him. And so that is the end of scene 3. We're already almost halfway through Act 5. We're probably going to be finishing this tomorrow, you guys. Oh my gosh, the end is near with it. How will this end? Well, we know how it's going to end, but still, that's what's going to happen. So can't wait till tomorrow.